Hello and welcome into Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and a day after talking about two huge names to potentially join the Patriots wide receiver crew, we've got two more breaking through and even bigger than yesterday's. So before we jump into it, please go down and subscribe to our channel, throw us a few likes, and get into the comments and let us know what you think about the Patriots' options at the wide receiver position and others in free agency. We won't wait any longer. We'll jump right into it here and talk about the newest one. No, not Chris Godwin. No, not T. Higgins. Those are in the past. We are on to a Super Bowl champion, A.J. Brown. Yes, one of the top 5 wide receivers in the game, now linked to the Patriots because we can confirm that the New England Patriots have called Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles to check in on the availability of A.J. Brown. Now, it's not absolutely shocking because Mike Vrabel has ties to A.J. Brown that we've talked about previously here. He did coach him in Tennessee and was really dejected. There was a video that came out on social media earlier this week showing Mike Vrabel in the war room when it was announced that Tennessee was trading A.J. Brown to get a first-round draft pick and another selection in that draft, which they eventually used to take Treylon Burks to replace A.J. Brown when the move obviously did not work in their favor at all. But we know that Mike Vrabel and A.J. Brown have a great relationship. And the fact that we can confirm this, and Matthew Berry actually went so far to comment on this further, saying that the Patriots, he's heard that they will do whatever they can to get a real quote unquote wide receiver one for Drake May. And that is what the coaching staff is all in for. He quote unquote has heard them knocking on all doors, seeing what they can possibly trade for. And one person told him that the Patriots did call Philly asking if A.J. Brown was available. This is where the grain of salt comes in because he followed up with a very Matthew Berry thing of saying shrug emoji on if it's true or what Philly's answer was. But what this does confirm is that the Patriots are in the market for a wide receiver one and are ready to be extremely aggressive in order to make that happen. And we know that things will look a little bit different because the market is going to fluctuate, that T. Higgins might stay in Cincinnati, that Chris Godwin might not get out of Tampa Bay, and that free agency class underneath that is not where the trade market is. And we've talked about those guys that potentially now Devontae Adams cut. Does Cooper Kupp join him on that cut list? Or do you have to trade? And if you're going to trade, why not do it for someone like A.J. Brown or potentially do it for the next person on this list, and that is Brandon Aiyuk. And the 49ers could be looking at a full reset after trading Deebo Samuel last week for a 5th-round pick to the Washington Commanders. Now, obviously, Aiyuk just signed that contract last year and is much younger, more fluid of a player here as well. But Adam Schefter now reporting that with the financial situation that the 49ers are in, knowing that they finally have to pay Brock Purdy after he's playing out on that rookie contract as Mr. Irrelevant, that last pick in the NFL draft, that the 49ers are open to listening to just about anybody to try and help open up their salary cap issues. If there's, Schefter went on to say that if there's a team out there that's willing to take on Brandon Aiyuk's contract, I'm sure they would listen. So if the Patriots decide they're willing to take that on that contract, and if they were going to offer it to someone that is of the caliber of Chris Godwin, who's coming off that injury, who's a little bit older and has questions of his own, why wouldn't you talk to the 49ers about someone like Brandon Aiyuk? Granted, he is not of that upper echelon of the A.J. Browns, and the problem with that is that you would take on his contract there and have to give up draft assets to acquire him. That said, this still remains very encouraging for Patriots fans that you are now continuously tied in with the top flight players out there, not just on the free agency market, not just on the cut list, not just on other teams announcing they're letting players either seek trades or will enter the trade market for them. But now you're being tied into players that maybe necessarily aren't going anywhere, but the Patriots are going to be aggressive, very aggressive in what they are doing here. And that goes into what we've learned about the Patriots philosophy last season. And what Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo had set out to do was to strike in free agency and then be able to fill any other holes or potentially be able to draft out of a best available situation. We found out, obviously, that did not happen. They were unable to lure the free agent talent that they wanted, even though in Gerard Mayo's press conference, he said they were going to open up that the purse strings and get out and spend. And that did not happen. They did not attract those free agents, and they ended up with a lot of holes, 5 to 7, that they had to fill, in the draft. And it did not go the way that they wanted, obviously. Players were asked way too much. They've already said they put too much on Jalen Polk's plate, and that goes for everyone else from that draft class outside of Drake May. Additionally, for this year, now with Drake May in the fold, with Mike Vrabel, the culture shift and everything else around it being tied to these big players, the new Patriots draft philosophy will hopefully be to take the best available player and not saying what are our holes and what do we need, because they will be able to fill these starting roles and the holes that they do have in free agency or the trade market, so that by the time they get to the NFL draft, they will be able to look at the top of the board and say, this is who we want, this is the best available, and either we're taking him or we don't think that he should be at the top of that board and we can trade back and get the player that we have at the top of our board. Now, yes, that does leave a little bit open to what is the New England Patriots board versus the consensus board, and that's always going to change from team to team, and you're going to trust your own evaluators and your scouting departments. But being able to get to that point, the crux and will be what you can do in free agency and the trade market, and can Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf quickly reconstruct this roster to allow the Patriots to maximize their potential in the NFL draft. Another thing that could actually work against the Patriots in the ability to make the draft work for them is the poor quarterbacks in this NFL draft. And that's not to say that Cam Ward is not a good starter, potentially good to great starting quarterback in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart on there as well. But ESPN actually put out a list of their top QB prospects since 2020 and looking at those first round picks across the board. Obviously, Caleb Williams was the number 1 on that list, and Trevor Lawrence slotted 2 with Joe Burrow at 3. 2 more from last year's draft class, and actually it was Caleb, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May at 1, 4, and 5, respectively, overall in the draft classes of the past 4 years. For context, Mac Jones actually slotted in at number 15 on this list. Lines up when you're the 15th pick in that draft, but the 15th best quarterback over the past 4 years. Where Cam Ward slots in, the number 1 potential pick in this draft, or at least number 1 quarterback off the board as of right now, would be 18th overall. Shedeur Sanders slotting in at 20, just ahead of Kenny Pickett, and Jackson Dart not on that list right now. Newer reports are suggesting he could be a top 15 pick, but we'll wait to see how that plays out. Again, the scenario of a team wanting to trade up with the Patriots to get a quarterback, or seeing a quarterback go early and allowing Travis Hunter, somebody of that caliber, to slide down, takes a hit here. But again, we'll see how the draft comes to the Patriots. Be sure to get down in our comments and let us know who you think the Patriots should be after in the draft, and we'll be back with everything for you coming out for free agency coming next week. Fight on, Foxborough.